Manas, Ada, welcome to another episode of The Daft Path. Got Mr. Moore back again, my dog. Come on, my G. Manas every time, my dog. You get me? Yeah, man. So this one, we're going to be talking about what it means to walk in your godhood, right? As I said, Daft Path is about a demonstration of a way of life, and showing a real life application of some of this spiritual science and spiritual knowledge that we come across. I feel like, we just want to discuss what that means in real life, taking accountability for your whole setup, your actions, your thoughts, your environment, your results that you get, and how you deal with things when things don't always go your way, always go as you planned. How do you stick to some of these spiritual principles? What's the real with doing this? You know what I'm saying? Before obviously bring you in, bro, I want to talk about the concept, sort of where I'm coming from with the thing, yeah? So in spirituality is all about accountability. It's about the self. It's about taking ownership and accountability for the self, who you are, the true you that's inside. Once you've gone through the process of finding out and exploring who you are and getting into spirituality, the calling upon you is you can no longer look to an outside source for any of your solutions now. You've got no excuse. There's no place to run, there's no place to hide in terms of how you go about changing your scenarios in a situation or going on your own spiritual journey. There's no external source that you bow down and call upon, because you understand, you're at a point now, you understand it's the self now. Yeah. It's you. I use the analogy that the 5%ers use about, your cipher. Your cipher is I consider your solar system. Mm-hmm. And you are the sun and the center of that solar system, right? And it's for you to select the things that you want to keep in your orbit, in your cipher, which is your environment. Yeah. So if you're following the Kabbalah, the Kabbalion Hermetic principles, and the first principle is that universe is mental, all is mental, then the center of that cipher, the center of that sun is going to be thought. Mm-hmm. So this is controlling your thoughts again. Controlling your thoughts, changing your environment. You're setting up your environment to be able to keep certain things in your orbit. Shine your light on, reflect, and energy and resonate, and a feedback loop between what's in your environment, right? It's controlling your environment, controlling your actions, experiencing your results. So that's the underlying concept of where we're going with this discussion, is once you come into the knowledge of yourself and you begin to acknowledge yourself as a fragment of the divine, and one pursuing to be godlike, godhood, it's a different ball game.
The question that I've got for you is, what do you how do you see a godlike? How will you define a godlike nature?
Godlike nature?
Yeah. How do you? What if someone said to you, "What is a godlike nature?" What would you say?
Godlike nature is where someone is truly balanced in their idea and concept of who they are, by fully acknowledging and reconciling the positive and negative as they view it themselves, positive and negative parts of themselves, right? And how the source of where those things have come from, how their past experiences in childhood has influenced them in the person that they are. So they then have the manual or the toolkit about how to manipulate their psyche, their mind state and their consciousness towards a particular objective or goal. So I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. You could have a woman that's gone through immense abuse and trauma throughout her life, right? And she gets to a point where she's able to reconcile that trauma for what it is and how it's impacted them as a person, and played a role in the life decisions that they made and where they've gone on from that point, but got it into a state where it no longer produces a negative adverse effects in why they go and do something. So, you know, you're forming trauma bonds with someone in relationships, or, you know, you're using drugs or something as a coping mechanism because you haven't really delved into and really faced that trauma. Someone that's gotten through that whole process of not, you can't change some of the things that's happened to you, but you can understand not necessarily maybe why it's happened, but if it has happened, how it's impacted you and changed you and affects you. And then you know how to navigate yourself such that even if there's things that you can't control in terms of how you respond to something because of trauma, you acknowledge that and know how to circumvent and control and manage the impact that it has in terms of the vision or goal that you have or what you choose to project of yourself. That's godlike nature. It's not about a state of, it's not about being holier than thou or considered perfect. It's someone that's obtained a certain level of balance: generator, operator, destroyer. Those are the three states of energy. I can build something, I can operate it, I can destroy it and transmute it and turn it back into base to rebuild something else. If you can do that with your negative and your positive experiences in life and use that to enhance the intentions and the thoughts that you have to bring something from thought into physical, that's godlike nature, man. Having control in your emotions, do you know what I mean? In tough situations, which everyone struggles with, including myself. It's not a finished state. It's something that you constantly approach and work towards to realize truths about yourself.
Yeah, no, I like that.
Do you know what I mean?
I like the master of the emotion.
Yeah, bro.
Because it's like it's like you're gonna have emotional people. You're gonna have not people that aren't emotional. It isn't a negative or a positive.
But even
it's just being able to be a master of that.
Even acknowledging, if say you are an emotional person versus not an emotional person, it's understanding why.
Yeah.
What are the reasons why has caused you to be like that? Because that didn't just come out of nowhere. That's come from. There's been a cause that you haven't been able to identify, and it's about identifying the causes within the causes that have put the pieces together to this ego about how you identify yourself, and then, you know, looking to see if that cause is something that is truly who you are, or you holding on to that cause to protect something else. It sounds crazy, bro, but it's honestly, it just boils down to being honest with yourself, because that honesty opens the gateway to deeper truths, because then your heart has been conditioned to be able to manage that information when you receive it, so the ego don't pop up and misuse it, and then it produces a negative or adverse effect.
Okay, so
Is that making sense?
Yeah, no,
yeah. Come on. Because I mean, like, if I taking myself as an example, yeah. When things don't go according to plan, or how you want to pan out, how you deal with that frustration, how you deal with that sense of failure, feeling like, you know, maybe you did reach yourself too far, maybe you puffed up your chest too much, and do you get me? And you got a slap in the face type of thing. Do you know, how you get yourself up out of that pit and out of that low feeling is acknowledging the fact that in the failing is a lesson. There's a lesson to be learned, right? And it's for you to see the value in that failure. It's all really good saying it now. When you're going through it, it's very difficult to do. But the point is, you go through the emotion, and you're supposed to get to a point where you begin to analyze, you begin to observe and reflect back and say, okay, is there something to learn from this to help me forward? Because I've gone through that experience for a reason. That's the spiritual scientist way of dealing with adversity or difficulties. Is you don't spirituality doesn't like mean, oh, you know, oh, you're completely detached from emotion and you can just get over it, and there's these magical rituals or whatever, and suddenly you're all right. It don't work like that. You go through the same emotion, the same pain, the same frustrations, the same humanity as everyone else, but you acknowledge that while you're working through your emotions, there comes a point where you can blame no one else but self. You can look to no one else but self to rectify your situation, or to not repeat those mistakes. And it's about taking accountability, just like you take accountability for your happiness and your achievements. You take accountability for your pain and your sorrow, and that's very hard to do because it's constantly right. You can acknowledge how others played a part in your circumstance, but ultimately you understand that you are the progenitor of your own story. There are cause and effect. Sometimes you may not understand why something is happening because the cause isn't understood. And that's where we get into things like chance and coincidences, is where the cause isn't understood, which you can understand from a human mind perspective. It's limited, so you can't see the cause and everything. So I understand that. But yeah, man, it's just holding oneself accountable.
To add on to that, one thing that definitely was sort of floating around my head as you was talking just then is obstacles. And I think that in life there is always going to be obstacles.
Yeah.
So it's about how to not just get past the obstacle, but to actually see it, to know that it is an obstacle. Because sometimes I feel like if you don't realize what you're taking in, you don't know to push it out. So what I mean by that is you have to, I'm not turning around to saying that I'm fully self-aware. It's a journey, and would like to say I'm a good place in this journey, but it doesn't ever stop because there is still going to be obstacles coming my way, and the more self-aware I become, the better I can see those obstacles, identify them, and then address them. I can't address them until I see them.
Okay, I hear you.
And I just think naturally we're gonna have, like, I can only speak about me as a black man,
As I'm more.
in a city where I'm ambitious. I'd like to say arrogant to some extent, because I don't think that a high level of arrogance is liked amongst others a lot, and I don't think it's desired. I think that everyone should have a level of arrogance if you want to be successful. I think every success story has a level of arrogance behind it.
Yeah, I would identify arrogance as was the ego, right? But the ego is subdued and directed in a direction that's beneficial to you.
Yeah.
May be interpreted as arrogance, but sometimes I understand what you're saying. Sometimes it's the ego. You need that ego to give you that spark to want to do more, to want to change, to be competitive, to have the edge. No, that's the ego used in the right way. So I understand where you come from. That level.
And obviously I look back at your past episodes and I feel like when we talk about that and we talk about how we feel and that voice that we speak to, which is your best friend.
Yeah.
It's the one that sometimes isn't your best friend. It's the one that sometimes telling you ain't good enough. It's the time sometimes I've been in my room and I'm hearing you ain't good enough. Nah. You can't match them, man. You can't get that girl. Like all of them things there, it's my voice that's telling me that. But why has my voice told me that? Because of something that I've taken in. I don't need to take that in.
Okay. So now, so you're talking about controlling or being aware of the things that influence your subconscious programming.
Yeah.
You feel me? Okay. I get you. Yeah, bro.
Because as we step onto the journey of, as where this topic is of the godlike behavior, you have to dissect everything from the beginning and write out the map and the plan of how you're gonna get. Do you know what I mean? You don't just buy a house. You got to get the mortgage. You got to find the house. Everything takes planning. But when you're on that plan, there is going to be obstacles because you can't get from A to B without actually taking the journey.
All right. So, I'm gonna pose a question to you. As someone that considers themselves on their own daft path, right? How have you, with the knowledge of self that you've gained thus far, how has it helped you in scenarios in terms of, getting yourself out of a rut, regaining that confidence that you have in self to pursue your vision and your dreams? Do you know what I mean? Because it's all good talking. It's all talking the good philosophical stuff, yeah. But what's important is making it relatable.
100%.
So that people can understand. I've been in a similar situation, and by applying these tools, this is how it works for man in real life.
Definitely.
You get me?
And I am the example. Like I 100% would say that I've been low. I suffer from anxiety and depression. I can't tell you the last time I cried because I can't remember. It's been a long time since I cried in terms of months. I'm a very emotional person, but I haven't felt really emotional in a while. And these things that I've not felt, which is when I do feel is very heightened, it's because I've now started to put things in place to control and manage. You can't eliminate or eradicate. It's control and manage. You have to identify your problems within, and the only way you can fix something is by identifying that it's there. Now, how I would describe the TheDaathPath journey in my sense is I see the admiration and the inspiration that I see from you, I take to apply it to myself. I don't look at you and think, I want to be you. I look at you and think, I want to make decisions the way you make decisions. So I then flip back to my life now and my decision making, and I will reflect and I will be like, all right, cool. How could I have handled this? You know, when you've got a best friend, yeah, or you've got a friend, anyone that you consider yourself a friend, that's a choice that you've made. That's someone that you've chose to be around. If your friend's on badness and you chat to another friend, you're like, oh, you know what, I don't like that. But don't be that person's friend, because you are associating yourself with that. And that is going to be something that is going to be influencing your decisions. And ultimately, you want to be the sole decider of your life.
The soul
Decider of your life.
Soul decider, yeah. And I hear you, because obviously, you know, man's a gym head anyway. For me, I call the gym the Iron Temple, because this is the temple. You feel what I'm saying? So I use it as a form of meditation. Funny enough, I would say that's how man meditate. I'm going to the gym, because you first have to have the vision. When you're lifting weights or whatever, they talk about the mind-muscle connection. That is formed from a vision you have within your mind of the muscle that you're operating on, and focusing the contraction on that particular body part that you're trying to work. So generating that mind-muscle connection, which you realize comes from a thought.
Okay.
Even down to the act of lifting weights, you still employ the science. You first have to have, universe is mental, all is mental. You first must align one's thought into the vision of that you have of yourself, of what you want to build, or the exercise that you're trying to do. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then it's about having the discipline to go through the process of being consistent in training that particular muscle to get that particular effect. So that's your environment and your actions aligned to experience your results again. It's the same science, and I use that. I use a way of airing out my frustrations and certain feelings, certain anger. That's how you regulate and manage and be aware of your emotions. That's controlling your cipher again. That is to be walking or pursuing your godlike nature. It's to be balancing oneself. In order to do that, you have to be the knower. This is your arc.
100.
You have to be the knower of self to be able to select which pairs of things, you know, say a balance, a man and woman something. So which pairs of balance and thing you want bring into your arc, bring into your cipher. You also touched on what you were talking about as well, was really showing how even the everyday decisions that you make that you don't think of, you know, they play a part and play a role in how your life pan out, you know.
100%.
And certain things, and certain, you've realised that you're going through, have certain habits or behaviour that you realise may not necessarily be feeding or taking you away from your vision and your goal. So when you're trying to strive and pursue, and you're realising, I want to buck you up on certain difficulties and certain obstacles, you don't realise you're creating them for yourself by being unaware, for lack of knowing why people perish. That has many layers of application. But even in the system, they say ignorance of the law isn't a defense. Bearing in mind that man cannot create law, we can create rules and ordinances. law is something that occurs via laws of geometry in nature. The signature of the artist type thing. There's length, angle, and width. That's what law is. Man can't create that. Man can only receive and infer that from a pattern and a design that's already been put in place. Length, angle, and width. Do you know what I'm saying? So, ignorance of the law, ignorance of the science. When it comes to the reality of how things happen, there's no such thing as coincidence. Ignorance of the law isn't a defense. Things are just going to happen to you until you. It's those that want to claim that accountability, responsibility for what others might appear as randomness or coincidences. When you step into spirituality, you can't really afford to accept that, because then you're acknowledging that there are elements that are unintentional. And without intention, there's no vibration. Without no vibration, matter cannot take form. Light cannot condense into a particular frequency to give form. So that, by the laws of physics and hermetic principles, that doesn't make any sense. You see what I'm saying?
And I think that adding to that as well, without intention, there's no direction. Without direction,
balance,
you're not going anywhere. And it's like, where do you want to go in life? Like, where do you want to go? Because I'm not going to turn around and tell you that watching The Dark Path is going to change your life. It's going to give you the thoughts.
Only you can do that. It's going
to give you the thoughts and the belief that you can actually do this yourself. And that is what I've taken from this, 100%. And I've then taken myself back to my dome, and I'm now making the journey. What's the phrase? I'm applying myself and doing what needs to be done to elevate, both spiritually, physically, mentally.
But I noticed that's come about in you since you began to come into the knowledge of self more. And what I mean by that is being able to understand the triggers of your personality, of your identity, why you like certain things, why you don't like certain things, why certain things make you angry. Do you know what I mean? And also the wanting for a sense of fulfillment that doesn't come from material things. You want your physical actions to align with a sense of peace within the self.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? You want to be doing something that you kind of enjoy.
Yeah, of course.
You have a vision of yourself of where you want your life to go, and it's when you I've considered you started to work in your godlike power, saying I'm gonna be selective in what I choose to be around, man, because I'm becoming aware that what is around me isn't serving my purpose, and there's some things that I can control, I can't control, but what I can control is the things that influence the vibration and resonance of my aura and my mindset and my state of mind.
Yeah.
And the moment you started to hold yourself accountable to them things there, your thing shifted. And this is the important thing as well, when the dark days or the bad times, I don't want to say dark because I don't like that subconscious programming that dark is negative, because we know so it's not. But anyway, the low days, the challenging days, the hard days where, it's all good being philosophical and talking all this lovely stuff now, but when you're going through it, blood, sometimes people ain't trying to hear that.
They're not.
And this is what I'm trying to do. Like, let's keep it 100% real, yeah? When you're going through it, what actually can you cleave to bring you out of those scenarios to produce a result and an effect? And what we're saying here is you have to get yourself into a point where your vision of what you want to happen is so clear. And sometimes this is how the universe works, sometimes you need that adversity, that challenge, that trauma, that stress to put pressure on that carbon, to form that carbon from coal into diamond, to say, because of the things that you've gone through, you're now in a position to clarify what you want and what you don't want. And sometimes those lessons that we go through are of our own making, Well, most of the time they are of our own making. Let's be for real, because of the cause and effect thing.
Yeah.
Just because you don't understand the cause, they're of the lessons that you go through are of your own making. Which sounds mad, because when you think about like people that have been abusing everything, how are you gonna try and say it's not their own making?
There's always gonna be trauma that comes to
But,
you. That is unfortunate. It was outside of your control, and not even just in terms of trauma. There is always things outside of your control. You can't stop that because it's outside of your control. I could walk down the road now and get killed on my way home. Touch wood. But
we're not touch wood. Yes, glad what to you, bros.
But it's one of them ones where it's like it's all the way and how you think. You have to change the way you think. And I go back and I'll go back to when I was younger. And when I was younger and I thought I was this very popular person, and I was like, oh my God, I've got all these groups of friends. I can go out every week. I can go out a different group every week.
Yeah.
Dance. I used to go out, dance and everything. Right. These people are my friends. But as I was getting more mature, it made me realize that these people aren't my friends that I'm actually hanging around with. They're not my people. They don't serve me any purpose. They don't want me to strive in life. They won't be that person that's going to tell me, no, Liam, you are good enough. You can do this. Because there is always going to be things telling me that I'm not good enough. You want your support network. And that's why they call it support network, because it is to actually support you and prop you back up to get you to go for another fight.
Remember when I said to you at the beginning about in your cipher, you as the center, as the light of your own solar system, as the solar, the soul. In the solar system, the sun gives us a vibration, and the planets that are within, the sun's domain, reverberate and resonate, and there's a resonance. So the things that you keep around you, as you were just talking about, the things that keep you around you, if the feedback loop and the resonance loop that you have between it and yourself and your vision isn't aligned, it's going to cause discord and disharmony, bro.
100%.
Do you know what I mean?
It can be very damaging. It can be very damaging. And it's like the news. It's like when people say, I'm taking this, and people are sitting on social media for a good 5 hours at night, late, where you should be sleeping and charging up your body for that next day.
Circadian rhythm, that melatonin production, hey.
And then they then are looking, it's like all of these shows like Love Island and XYZ, where it's creating a false sense of perfection. Social media, a false sense of perfection.
Fam, listen, the way you just touched on something, you see that show there? When you understand what love is, bro, you see how they even hijacking the subconscious on how man and woman are supposed to form deep, because love is a deep intimate connection. Love ain't lust, I just want to be.
Exactly.
You just want to be. You feel me? I say, get me. This thing that there's some making love synonymous with man just want to be. Little 5 minute, 5 minute flash in the pan paperweight thing. Do you get me? You understand? So that love is sacrifice. As I said before, something like what you're willing to give of yourself for the sake of the other person, without looking for reciprocation, just for the love of that comes out of the purity of the heart, bro. Do you get me? So when you say that kind of island, I don't even want to speak it too tough. You get me? When you say that kind of island, I look at it as just a mockery of the true nature, and that's what keeps people. That's what keeps people from being able to connect with some of the deeper concepts of understanding self. Because all of that stuff acts as that literal garbage of tapping into the subconscious mind of what that really means.
But all those things are in my eyes it's just someone's idea. Someone just had an idea, and they knew they crafted it in a way that it could reach your subconscious mind. And people don't even see the real lessons and the messages that these things show you. Like a lot of these shows or these things that we see on TV, is without the self-awareness. Your subconscious mind is a puppet. So when they talk about the devil on the shoulder and the angel, and that, you've got that anyway. You've got that regardless.
Yeah, I hear that,
so you're
brother.
always at that juncture with a right turn or a left turn. You can go left or you can go right. At every decision. You could, you don't think there's times when I could have wilded out? Or I'm like, you know what, let me humble myself. Because I have to make a decision now. Because there's situations where I could have bad up man, but I would have lost my job. There's times where I could have bad up man, but I could have been in prison. What then? What when I'm in this next decision, where things are being taken from me, where human rights are being taken from me because of a decision I've made. Without self-awareness, you're gonna fall back into the trap of the decisions. You don't want to make decisions with the subconscious mind.
It's mad. It's mad. No, you do want to make decisions when it comes to subconscious mind. You wanna be aware. You can only draw water from the well that is there.
Yeah.
So you need to understand what's in your well, back.
Yeah.
Do you get me? So you know where should I draw. It's mad how you're talking about making decisions. Yeah, right above your head there is Anubis or Anpu, which is the principle of discernment. That is the principle of guiding the soul through the duat into the halls of the Amenta, aka the judgment scene, where the heart is weighed against the feather against my art and them things there. Basically, what that's talking about is in real life application, taken out of the mythology, is you use your all your instincts and your senses, as a dog does, to be able to sense and discern your environment and about what choices to make, which is why he's got the head of the jackal. As a metaphor for the humans being able to cultivate that vision, that intuition of knowing what decisions to make based on a vision that they have cultivated of themselves about where they want to be. It's like a resonance, it's like a feedback thing, a feedback loop and a resonance loop, by constantly replaying an image that you have of yourself in your mind about where you want to be. This is the whole intention setting, for example, to put it simply. You create a set of harmonics in a universe where that echoes back to you. And when that's echoing back to you, that's feeding the information that your heart and your mind is using to operate in this reality. Because you said, this is where I want to be, so how do I bring that into fruition based on the resources and the environment that I am in? And that's what Anubis or Anpu represents. It's been able to make those decisions that are aligned with your spiritual aspirations. But you got to be aware of those. You got to have done the analysis of self for Anpu as a principle to be even useful to you.
100%. And then going on what you said about, going on what I said earlier about making decisions on subconscious mind. What I really mean by that is I don't want decisions made for me in my subconscious mind without my awareness. Because if you could if you could choose, if there's two decisions being made, but you could choose for them to both be either in your subconscious mind or your conscious mind, or one of each, you're going to want them to both be in your conscious mind because you want to make decisions knowingly.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, okay.
But that comes with self-awareness.
Yeah, okay, I understand what you're saying.
So that comes with self-awareness, and the only way you can do that, in my eyes, is eliminate what is feeding negative to your subconscious mind.
Taking accountability and responsibility.
Exactly. And the only way you can do that is by reflecting. That you can't know what has been bad